Welcome to the Plant Cunning Podcast,
where we explore our relationship to plants, other people, and the mysteries of nature.
Coming to you from the high Allegheny Plateau in central New York.
We are your hosts, A.C. Staubel
and Isaac Hill. Okay, so this is another Duocast.
Hello.
This is early spring.
Early spring Duocast.
It's been kind of a long, late winter. We had maple sap going until just last week, which is like over a month. It's like a month and a half of maple flow.
Yeah, the maple vendors at the farmers market said that it was one of their best years ever, maybe the best year ever for maple.
Yeah, that was really cool. Well, we like to boil it down with chaga and reishi,
Artist conch, red belted polypore,
and
turkey tail.
Turkey tail, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good because you get all of those extracted so deeply with that the boiling down, like 40 gallons into 1 gallon of sap. 40 gallons of sap into 1 gallon of syrup. Mm-hmm. So all that boiling down, or we have the mushrooms in there until almost the end, and we keep reusing them, so you get all the stuff out of them.
Yeah, we're basically making a mushroom decoction. So decoction is basically the word for making a strong tea, but you boil it down at kind of a simmer to extract the fungi. So we're putting these amazing medicinal mushrooms into our syrup, which is kind of a sweet treat. But, the bitterness and then the medicinal, earthy flavor is very subtle because it's still maple syrup. If you gave it to someone, they wouldn't realize.
Well, it has so much more flavor to it, yeah.
It's a different earthy flavor. So it's very dark and it's beautiful.
Yeah, so we're really happy about that. We've been doing that for a couple years and expanding how much we've been making every year just by a little bit. But hopefully this summer we can build a little sugar shack, and my friends can help us weld an evaporator so we can do this outside. And because we've kind of come to the end of what we can really realistically do
just with our wood stove and stove.
Yeah. So, but we've pushed it pretty far. I think we got maybe 5 or 6 gallons this year. So that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But we could probably tap at least twice as many trees.
Our neighbor said we could tap their trees as well. Yeah,
so that's good. But then it's spring now. It's finally really, really spring.
I feel it. I actually feel like it's spring. There's been so many fake springs, where you're like, oh, it's a beautiful 60-degree day. We're out here in t-shirts. Like the day we did the shiitake logs, we were just barefoot and
shirts off.
Yeah,
getting those sun rays. Yeah, we were able to do how many, 4 or 5 full trees that our friend was cutting down of sugar maple, which is what shiitake likes. And they like either sugar maple or white oak, and we don't have any oak up here. We have a lot of sugar maple. Mm-hmm. And our friend was cutting them down anyway, so we got to utilize those, which is fantastic. That's a real head stash of shiitakes.
Yes.
So we got that. And then, the grass is really green. And I went down to North Carolina for the TAT meeting, which was really amazing. And it was full on spring there. Everything's already flowered and it's just so nice.
Yeah, you were chasing spring.
Yeah. But here we're still just getting started. We haven't even, the ramps are just starting to poke out, and garlic mustard and sochan. So, yeah, it's good.
Very excited for spring greens. We've just been nibbling a little bit here and there on our walks and having ramp breath. And the nettles are coming up with these purple leaves, and they're still really tiny. So
yeah,
I'm just excited. We had sochan for breakfast with some of our friends' local spinach with eggs and our homegrown potatoes, and that's the standard breakfast around here pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, the eggs are doing really well.
Yeah, our duck eggs.
We have geese too, but they have not started laying. I'm not sure what's going on with them.
We've also been letting them out to roam and go to the little pond, and eat the fresh green grass coming up. So they might be laying it somewhere we just don't know. So maybe we could actually
keep them. Well, the geese have been attacking the ducks a little bit. Yeah, but we're gonna we haven't started doing the rotational grazing with the electric fence yet this season because it's
been fake spring.
Fake spring. Like we had fake spring, and then we had like a foot and a half of snow.
Yeah.
And single digits. So the next week. So it's like pretty crazy. You can't really do that. Oh, so the last time we did a Duocast, it was midwinter. Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of really great episodes since then. We talked to Phyllis Delight and Kat Meyer and Yolanda Joy, Rochelle, Arnima, Peter Mark Adams, Sophie Strand. These are all, I was just really excited for all these.
Yeah, this was a great block.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how they all go together really well, too. Like Phyllis Delight and Kat Meyer talk about energetic herbalism from different perspectives.
Yeah, I think those are really good episodes to listen to back to back because, they're talking about the same thing, but like in their own language and with their own understandings. But they've also, they know each other and like have been influenced by each other, so that's pretty cool too. And and then like Yolanda Joy and Rochelle Robinette also kind of go together.
Yeah, they both talk about herbal businesses, and they have like different sides of the herb world. Like Rochelle Robinette is a herbalist and really into education and talking about food as medicine. And she's just a super inspirational herbalist. And then Yolanda Joy. Oh, go ahead.
Well, she goes hard on the social media, whereas like Yolanda Joy is like the opposite.
Yep. And Yolanda Joy is an inspiring, like she's aspiring, that's the word, herbalist. And so she's created this online herbal conference for herbal entrepreneurs and has interviewed some of these amazing herbalists from different aspects of the herb business. And so she's on this like educational side too, but in a different way.
Yeah, it's been, it's cool to see how there's a lot of different niches for everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's about finding your niche and what works for you, like Instagram Reels may work for some people and not for other people. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I have such an ambivalent relationship with social media myself.
Yeah, heard.
But then we talked the other block that kind of like the episodes that fit together is Arnima and Peter Mark Adams and Karen Rose.
Oh, yeah, Karen Rose.
Well, and Sophie Strand too. Mm-hmm. I think those all go together pretty well. But like Peter Mark Adams and Karen Rose also talked both about ancestral healing and why that's so important and how to actually do that. And
Karen had a very practical way of ancestral healing of like talk to your living ancestors, talk to your mother, your grandmother, your father, grandfather, like your people. And versus Peter Mark Adams had this really interesting way of dealing with ancestral healing called family constellation therapy. And it was like kind of working through ancestral trauma on a physical and a metaphysical plane, like at the same time, because you're like channeling your ancestors into this space, and people you've never met before are all in this room with you acting out as different parts of your family. So someone might be your mother, someone might be your brother, someone might be your great-great-grandmother. And like there's these traumas and these things that come up as they're all improv kind of going through this process. And he said there's just amazing results of people finding forgiveness and peace within their family by tapping into this, ancestral line.
Yeah, I think that was a really cool way of looking at it too. But for me, when these kind of things come up, and like we're not like planning the topics like that. In advance, you kind of just like things kind of interviewees come to us at regular kind of times and just kind of happens.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, but like when these kind of topics pop up, it's like, oh, that's something to pay attention to. So both Peter and Karen talking about the same thing from different aspects just was was really good for me to internalize that and like pay attention to that, because like I was able to visit like my family recently, the last couple days, week, 2 weeks, and then my grandma and talk about my granddad. I got this amazing blanket. It's a what's it called? Quilt. Yeah, quilt that my grandma had made of my granddad's shirts. So it's like there's like a tangible like memento of him. And I was able to also go down and got a cider press that he had gotten, was working on, and so and she just wanted to get rid of it. So I was able to acquire that, and then now I can fix it up and like finish what he started. Like I remember him talking to me about getting the cider press and like he was going to start pressing apples. And we, last fall we were like, man, we have so many apples, we need a cider press.
Yeah.
So like worked out pretty perfectly. And
this thing is so old and huge, and it's just like diesel. It's like
it's all cast iron metal parts, except for the pan is stainless steel. He might have gotten that like made for it or something. But then all the wood is really old and it's like starting to rot out. So I'm going to need to like replace most of the wooden parts and clean up all of the cast iron parts. It needs like a total refurbishment, but it's going to be amazing. It has all the parts.
And that thing's going to last forever, right?
Yeah, I mean, it already has lasted forever. So. So that was pretty cool. And then like, really like paying attention to those stories and like what the ancestors are telling me, what my family is telling me, like what I'm feeling it in my body. And so that was pretty cool. But then also like Peter and Arnima were talking about similar things from different perspectives too. And like we got into a little bit with Peter about like the more exalted states of consciousness and like non-dual experiences and so on. And then with Arnima we got kind of focused mainly on that, like I guess non-dual would be a way of talking about it. But I just saw her down in North Carolina, as well as a lot of friends from TAT, and that was really also amazing because we haven't seen each other in person in 3 years at this point. This is the first in-person TAT meeting, and one of my takeaways from that, which you hear, is like self-realization or enlightenment or whatever you want to call it, awakening. It's not an experience. It's a realization, and that's something that maybe is good for people to hear, because we sometimes are chasing these experiences, these spiritual experiences, and the true experiencing the true nature of what you are isn't necessarily an experience. It's so that was a pretty cool combination.
Yeah.
Too.
So for folks that haven't heard you talk about TAT before, what is TAT?
Oh, well, it's just a group of spiritual seekers and finders that was started by West Virginia mystic, occultist, a spiritual teacher named Richard Rose in like 1970, and it's just a really cool group of people who are all come from different perspectives, and like it's like a way to come together, for seekers to come together and talk about like the deepest goals, motivations, insights, and so on. And I joined it basically when I was 20, and I've become good friends with a lot of these people over that time, and it's helped me grow and mature as a person.
And Arnima and Art, who we previously interviewed,
they're all they're
part of
members of TAT. They speak at TAT events often, and yes, Art was a student of Richard Rose, and Arnima was basically a student of art in a certain way. But we've interviewed both of them, and this is definitely not for everybody. It's like kind of, if it rings your bell, then that's cool, and you can research further. But it's not going to ring everyone's bell. So then that's fine. There's like different spiritual paths for everybody, and that's one of the things that I like to highlight. And one of the things I like about this show is getting to see all these different paths and different ways of approaching spirituality, magic, plant work, healing, all those things.
For sure.
But yeah, that was cool. I got to see all those people in North Carolina.
And while he was away, my mom was visiting, speaking of, our ancestors, and we did a total redo to our bathroom.
Yeah.
It's super cute now. It's not so like granny country chic as it once was. It's just more like, I don't know, clean. We put this cute tile floor, like a sticker floor on top of the tile. It's a black and white pattern, and I'll have to post some pictures to our Patreon page for everybody because I'm really proud of our work.
Yeah, and so the other thing is, the day I got back, I went down and visited my sister and her new baby, and then visited North Carolina, and then went to West Virginia and visited my grandma and picked up the cider press.
With the help of your brothers.
Yeah, they helped me. That was really cool. And a bunch of wood siding that we're going to use. But the day I got back, the cat gave birth.
Yeah, Minwee, our cat, or Midnight, she gave birth to 7 kittens. There's 4 orange ones, 2 calico, and 1 black and white, and they're all just so cute. They're just these tiny little blind babies, squirming around in their little comfy cardboard box with their mom, and she's being such a good mom. I'm really proud of her.
Yeah.
So if anyone needs kittens in the central New York area, holler.
Yeah. Yeah. And we decided basically we're gonna let her have 1 litter and then fix her. And I think that's a good move. I mean, it's good to have cats around here because we have.
Yeah, we wanted to have a few more cats, but 7's a lot. So.
Yeah, 7 is a lot. They're fighting over nipples.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, she has 8, so it's they each get a full nipple, but. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm also, speaking of it being spring, excited about some plants as usual, and I wanted to share with you some of the new plants that I'm starting this year that I haven't, new additions to the garden. And one of them is Udyrlia Cordata, which is Japanese spikenard is another name for it. But it's an Aurelia like spikenard and wild sarsaparilla, which are 2 native plants from around here. But this one, Udo, is a lot bigger than the American spikenard. I mean, not a lot bigger, but it's bigger. And it's an herbaceous plant. They say it gets up to 6 feet or even bigger. And it's used as a vegetable in Japan. So I'm excited for that.
Where do you want to plant that?
I'm going to plant it in the little forest garden down here that we're starting with, as on the herbaceous level. I mean, it's a big plant for the herbaceous level, but in there with the pear trees and gumi, and it's all those plants, so it'll be like a part shaded environment with rich soil, and I kind of we have a native area, which is the maple forest, the sugar bush is where we're focusing on just native plants and all those golden seal and that kind of stuff. But then this mixed forest garden that we've started on the hayfield, part of the hayfield close to the house, which it's not a hayfield anymore, it's a forest garden. But that's where I've planted the typical forest garden type plants. I've got rare ripe peaches, Asian pears, European pears, apple, mulberry, gumi, indigo bush, bunch of other stuff.
And then at the herb level, we got the comfrey, some valerian, lemon balm, and do we do Joe Pie over there? No, that's in the prairie.
But it's still coming into being. All the pear trees, I grafted them, and they're all still kind of small. So, but the Udo will go really well in that because it's like a mixed forest garden. Have
I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, I guess we also have some hardy pecans in the back end there, and some persimmons, pawpaws, Eleuthero. But so Udo, I'm excited about that. There's a video that Joe Hollis did on Udo on YouTube. You should check that out. And also, we're very sad to learn about the fire that Joe had at Mountain Gardens down in North Carolina. So check that out and offer some support to him if you can.
Yeah.
Because he's such an amazing person.
Yeah, the library and free apothecary burned down, so they're accepting donations of books and herbal medicine, and you can find them on Instagram or on their website. So definitely give Joe Hollis some love for sure.
Yeah. He's the one who introduced me to Udo.
And we interviewed him last year as well.
Yeah, that was a really good interview too.
Yeah.
Another one that we're doing is Chinese licorice. Glycyrrhiza urulensis. I guess we actually have some of this going already, but we have like just a few plants, and we expanded that this year. But that's another one that is just a really great herb. I think that the European licorice is not hardy up here. I've heard various reports about that, but it seems like the Chinese licorice is much hardier, and we had a really cold winter last winter, and the ones that we started last year are alive, and I can, if you uncover the mulch, their little buds are green and starting to poke up. So it does it here. So we're going to continue expanding that patch because it takes a couple years for them to start being productive. So we're just continuing to grow those.
Hey.
Yeah, and those are doing really well. Another tip that Joel Hollis taught me for any of these pea family plants like licorice or astragalus. We have a couple more here that we started astragalus crassicarpus, which is ground plum milkvetch, and Baptisia tinctoria, so those are all pea family plants. If you put them in a little jar and you pour just past boiling water over them, then they swell up, and the seeds swell up, and they're ready to germinate. And that just really that kind of scarification works really well for pea family plants. So the licorice, Chinese licorice, is one of those that we did that way, and it's doing really well out here in the seed starting area. Another one we're doing is ground plum milkvetch, and this is a native plant to sort of the Midwest and the middle of the U.S. And this is Astragalus crassicarpus, and the Astragalus genus is huge. We're also growing the regular astragalus. I think it's Astragalus membranaceus, something like that. The Chinese astragalus that's used as an herb. But the ground plum milkvetch has really beautiful pink flowers, and then has a fruit. It's like basically a big pea kind of thing, which is used as a food source. That's why it's called a ground plum. It looks like a big plum. So I'm really excited about these, and they've sprouted up really well. I got them from Prairie Moon Nursery, and last year they were sold out, so I was happy to acquire some of them this year. I'm going to plant them with our Arnica. We have our Arnica montana. Is that the name? Yeah, I think, or Chemoisis.
I never had luck with Arnica montana.
Yeah, it's the one from the U.S. and it's been doing really well. Mm-hmm. But it's also a low-growing, full sun plant, so we're going to plant that with the ground plum. We've got a bunch of that started too.
I also, speaking of Arnica, I just recently learned that that Jim McDonald, the herbalist from Michigan, uses goldenrod as like a topical pain relief infused in oil, like the way that you would use Arnica. And so I'm really excited to try that, since it is so hard to grow Arnica here, and I can't always get out to Montana.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to me to find alternatives. Like goldenrod is everywhere out here, so that would be really exciting to me. So if anyone has tried goldenrod topically for pain, please let me know. I'm curious to see how it...
Also, those Arnica flowers are so tiny.
Yeah.
And like a goldenrod head is huge.
Yeah.
So that would be a lot as far as like time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Hugely time saving.
Mm-hmm.
So another one I got from Prairie Moon here is small wild yellow indigo. Small yellow wild indigo. Baptisia tinctoria. This is a small Baptisia. We were already growing Baptisia australis, I think is the name. The blue indigo, wild blue indigo. It's like a herbaceous plant with beautiful blue, purple flowers, and that's like a common ornamental plant. But this one is a lot smaller and has yellow flowers and is native more towards the prairie area. But this one apparently is a really excellent antibacterial, antimicrobial type plant. Antiviral, I think, is it? Is it mainly antiviral? I don't know. I guess I should research the plant a little bit more. But I saw it on, it's antiviral. Saw it on a list of top antiviral herbs. And like, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not suggesting that you should use this instead of antibiotics or antivirals. But I'm interested in growing it because it looks really cool. And apparently the root is used. So I'm looking forward to learning more about this plant and meeting this plant. Because for me, like, I like to work with plants that I know, especially by growing them. And then I can really see their spirit. I can see what they are, like what their unique characteristics are, how it grows, what it likes, what it doesn't like, all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to meet and really get to know Baptisia Tinctoria. Another one we got from Prairie Moon is Bush Morning Glory, Ipomoea leptophylla. That's also called manroot. I think it's like a giant it's a morning glory type plant, like in the sweet potato family. It has these beautiful purple morning glory type flowers, but it's not a vine. It's more of a bush, but it grows out from one big root, and I think you can eat that root. I'm probably going to do that, but it seems like a really interesting plant. Like, the root will get the size of a human being.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, they're huge. A small human being.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So where are you going to plant this?
In the prairie area.
Nice.
The prairie. The prairie, yeah. We have a little prairie area, and it needs full sun and a little bit drier soils. That's why
it'll climb up a mullein or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a vine. It's like it's kind of a draper. It's like a draping shrub, bush kind of thing. It's not woody though, as far as I know. Well, again, it
looks just like a morning glory vine, like a trumpet flower.
Yeah, but the leaves are more like needle-like instead of.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah, heart-shaped. So yeah, I'm excited to get to know this plant too. We'll probably put it at the top of that little ridge area where it's a little drier. But we'll see how it goes. It's sprouted and it's already growing huge very quickly. So that'll be good. And then another one from this, doing all these weird prairie plants, I don't know why it's fun, especially nitrogen fixing ones, is the lead plant, and that's related to the amorpha. It's an amorpha. And we have the wild bush, indigo bush out here, which is more fruticosa, but this one is smaller and has like grayer leaves, and it's more of a prairie plant. So I'm excited about that one too. It has huge root systems. It really keeps all the soil in place and it digs down deep.
I'm really excited about our hoop house.
Yes, yeah.
Because then we can plant some things that can just overwinter in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we can extend our green season to be the entire year. I really miss greens in the winter,
Yeah.
So that'll be really nice.
Yeah, we had some friends up and we put up the hoop house most of the way, so we still have some finishing touches to put. But yeah, I'm excited to put my mandrakes in there because I have them at my mom's right now in the greenhouse there. But
I'm excited to put my lavender and rosemary.
And what is another thing we started? Well, we started a bunch of ashwagandha, like a bunch of ashwagandha. Yeah, that'll do really well in there. And then clove tomatoes, which we got from Joseph Lofthouse, who we interviewed through the Experimental Seed Network. And those are apparently like a wild tomato. So they have all that genetic diversity in them instead of like most of the cultivated tomatoes are extremely inbred. So I'm excited to see that current tomato and
Can't wait.
Yeah, how they do.
And then we're going to also put a whole row of sweet potatoes because we love sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
And they're kind of hard to grow around here because of...
It's cold.
Yeah, it's cold and then like rodent or insect damage and things like that. But I think in the greenhouse, they're going to do really well.
Yeah, I think that one of the main reasons is we have such a short season.
Yeah.
They can't
And
really
peppers
get
are
big.
going in there because last
Peppers,
year
yeah.
we only got a few mature peppers. We planted them too late.
Yeah,
Year before was a great pepper season though, so that's okay.
yeah.
Our little like spicy Hungarian hot peppers.
We still
They're
have
like
a bunch
cayenne.
of those. Yeah, those are popping up real good.
Nice.
Yeah. But they're also starting a lot of seeds of trees and shrubs too. Persimmons, pawpaws, seaberry, gumi, a bunch of stuff. So
Yes.
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 So you're doing some educational events coming up, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be teaching a class once a month for the rest of the farming season. So I think till October. On Thursdays, I think it's the third Thursday of the month for Udyrlia Community Farm and the Leatherstocking region of the National Young Farmers Coalition are the hosts of these online workshops. And it's basically for their interns to learn about herbalism, and they've allowed me to make it public. And so people can also join in from my networks and the internet if they want. And it's free to join, and I accept tips. So
Yeah.
if you're interested in that, I'll be posting more about it. And you can follow me about that on my website, travelingherbfarmer.com. I'm also on Instagram at Traveling Herb Farmer and Facebook at Traveling Herb Farmer as well. So one other thing is this upcoming, actually next weekend, it's Earth Day weekend. There's the One Summit, Women Working for the Earth Summit.
What's the dates again in case someone's watching this later?
It's April 21st through 26th of 2022.
Cool.
And there's going to be over 30 speakers, women and gender nonconforming people who have been instrumental in their work as herbalists or authors or elders, philosophers, artists. They're just doing such amazing work, and every single one of them is inspiring and really, really cool. So we have like Deb Soul and Tammy Sweet, Rosemary Gladstar, Linda Black Elk, Leah Penniman, Winona LaDuke, Terry Tempest Williams, Rosita Arvigo, who we interviewed, is just amazing. And so I encourage everyone to check out this event. The link is going to be in the bio, but you can go to womenworkingfortheearth.com as well. And if you use our affiliate link, we get actually half of the sales of any of the all access passes that are sold, which are $69. So you can have the recordings if you want, but it's free to join live. So we encourage everyone to do that. And if you do use our link, thank you.
Yeah. Well, so that's most of the things that we want to talk
Yeah,
about,
I think
right?
that's about a wrap.
Yeah, but it's like 70 degrees right now.
Yeah, let's get outside.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for listening. We love you, and we appreciate you sharing this with your friends and joining our Patreon. This, we just really appreciate you being here.
Yeah. Merry spring.
Cheers.